What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about something that is potentially exciting but also a potential letdown, really depending on where you fall and ultimately where Konami takes us. So let's actually talk about the meat and potatoes of the video here. With Ghosts from the Past being announced officially on Konami's website for 2022, we are getting a sequel to last year's March reprint set, although this one comes out in April for whatever that's worth. As we jump into the video, if you guys do enjoy the content, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. If you want to leave a comment down below, let me know your thoughts on the very early information that we have about Ghosts from the Past 2022. Please feel free to do so. But first, a little bit of backstory. So Ghosts from the Past was a super hype set last year, or well, technically this year, but when it was announced at the end of 2020, with Ghost Rares returning to the TCG, with Blue Eye's Alternative White Dragon as a confirmed card to get, people were beginning to speculate what other options you would get. We got Dark Magician as a Ghost Rare, which looked really good in its original art, so there was a lot of reason to be excited. Not to mention, it was the Duelist Saga style set, so it was $14.99, more affordable than a $30 MSRP product. There's just a lot on the surface that made it look good, and I even made a video back then talking about how it had a lot of potential and how I was excited about it. Now, when the set actually released, it unfortunately got hit pretty hard by scalpers. People were buying it up en masse, so while it was supposed to be a $15 MSRP set, they were typically selling for around $25 to $30 at the majority of places, unless you got lucky to find it at Walmart or Target or whatever. Most local shops, as well as online, were selling them at a higher price. Now, it's clear, almost a year out, that Ghosts from the Past was not a success in terms of how it appealed to the players. It had very few good reprints. There were some decent reprints that definitely helped bring down the value of cards that were more casual. The Cosmo cards, some of the Metal Foes cards, things like E-Telly. And then, of course, the new cards such as Starry Night, Sun Avalon, and the Dragoon structure deck, which got put into this set. People were upset about that, and with good reason. The most expensive card in Ghosts from the Past that is not a Ghost Rare is Emergency Teleport, and it's around $12 to $13. So overall, it really did not hold up. It was super top-heavy, and the ghosts were not easy to pull. They were like one per case or one per every other case. I don't remember the exact ratios, but they weren't common. So what happened was an inflated secondary market, very little rate of return, printing errors, and overall it ended up just being more of a disaster in terms of the overall player reception to it. However, it sold really well, and obviously Konami's going to look at the monetary value over everything else. So, Ghosts from the Past was not a great set for the players, not really a great set for the collectors, because most people that wanted those Ghost Rares would just chase down the Ghost Rares themselves. Especially with the printing quality issues, you want to make sure if you're investing that kind of money, you're getting a good condition card back in return. But it did well financially, so I'm not necessarily shocked that they're announcing a follow-up. That being said, follow-up is key. If Ghosts from the Past 2022 is going to succeed, it's going to need to have three things. It's going to need to have appealing Ghost Rares, it's going to need to have actual good reprints, and it's going to need to have plenty of availability. That's going to be sort of the topic of today's video. So let's start with the availability factor. We know that there's been shortages all throughout the world for every product you could think of, from card chips to microchips to keyboards to computers to video games. Everything has been shorted. We're just dealing with the after effects of the pandemic, as well as everything that comes along with it, and so it's been hard. You've seen it with the Megatins being released in waves. Thankfully, that doesn't seem to be too inaccessible, which is definitely a good thing. And I hope that as we near April of next year, which is still 5 to 6 months away, we will be in a better position. But if Ghosts from the Past is a shorted product or it's not readily accessible, that could immediately be a red flag towards the overall viability of the product, because it will have an artificial inflation of price. People will be cracking things open, and this set will tank in value. That's what we saw with this first one, and it would not shock me here. But assuming that Konami knows the demand a product like this will have, overprints it even to make sure it's accessible, make sure people can get their hands on what they want, then maybe there's a chance for this to be a success. They've said here in the description, the second Ghost from the Past set is releasing in April of 2022. It's got more of everything that made Ghost from the Past a smash hit, including more Ghost Rares. Now, I don't know if that means it's going to be more than 5, or if there's going to be more Ghost Rares per case. They don't expand upon it explicitly here, but what they do say is that the Ghost Rare roster has expanded, so has the drop rate, meaning it's twice as easy to pull a Ghost Rare. So if it was 1 per case on average when they first came out, perhaps now it's going to be 2 per case, which is a better ratio for sure. And if they're increasing the number of ghosts, it does make it harder to get specific ones, but still easier to pull ghosts in general. Each box of Ghosts from the Past now has 4 packs instead of 3, giving you even more cards per pack. So that's pretty good too. You're getting a total of 20 cards per box instead of 15. However, the MSRP for this is showing at $20, which means they are raising the price. They're not putting a 4th pack in there and charging the same amount. That's to be expected, but that's what the game plan is going to be. You're going to get 5 card packs with 5 Ultras, one of which could be replaced with a Ghost Rare. So they've added more ghosts, they've increased the chances of pulling a ghost, and they've increased the number of packs you get per box. All decent moves. All good things in terms of appealing to the player and listening to some of the criticisms. Now, they have announced nothing yet as far as what cards are going to be in this. There's no teasers, there's no nothing. So that gets us to point number 2, that the reprints themselves need to be really good. What reprints could we look at? Well, thinking of reprints exclusively here, Access Code Talker is a card everyone is really looking to go after. Access Code is rumored for Maximum Gold and would be a huge reprint if it were in that set. But that does not mean a double dip reprint for Access Code would not be a good thing. Let's say they do put it in the Maximum Gold set and it's not short printed. Well, it could go anywhere from like $25 to $30. If it is shorted, it could be more. We don't really know what the approach is going to be. And I think just given Access Code's price in general, it's going to be a card people are going to chase after. If you look at Appaloosa, which was in the Gold Series last year, you'll see now it's started to go back up again. The price rise is going to be sort of normal where there's that dip and then things go up. If Access Code has a different artwork, the original artwork may hold some more value, which means you could possibly see it double dip. It definitely would not be a bad thing to see Access Code get some additional, printing in this set. But if they decide that that's not the way they want to go, and they instead decide that they want to go the route of Access Code being primarily in Maximum Gold, then perhaps we could see something such as a reprint of Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. This card has been in the Megatins in 2020. We have not seen it get reprinted yet. A lot of people have talked about how they want it, and maybe you put this as a double in Ghost from the Past, as a Ghost Rare and as an Ultra, so people have a chance to get it, but there's also that marketability of this is now available as a Ghost Rare. I just hope that if they did go that route, that Dragoon doesn't only get a Ghost Rare reprint, because then the price is not going to drop, and we've kind of seen where that goes overall. So those could be the big cards that kind of anchor the set. Maybe something like Pot of Prosperity, though I'd be surprised if they didn't save that till the next year's Megatins. Who knows what the game plan's going to be there. Perhaps you see more reprints for things like Nibiru and Dimension Shifter and Dark Ruler No More. All cards that are, tin promos, have gotten a few reprints, but have not really seen a ton of a dip in value and are increasingly difficult to find. Ultimately, what they really need to do is make sure that the reprints themselves are actual good value reprints that are cards people want, that are going to hold, so that the Cosmo player who wanted Cosmojo from Ghost from the Past was able to get those, and then that interest was gone. There's not going to be this widespread, continuous return to, we need to grab our Cosmo cards, we need to grab our Metal Foes cards. The people that wanted those were happy about the reprints, the price dropped, and they were able to grab them. You want something that's going to bring people back multiple times, like you see Lightning Storm and King's Court. Could probably use another reprint. If it's not in Maximum Gold, perhaps it's in Ghost from the Past too. That's the type of thing that you really need, is to have like 3 to 5 cards that are really good demand cards that will go into the set, that people will want to buy this, will want to chase it down, and will be worth it for people to open, which is going to be the best thing for the product to not only sell, but to be something that is widely received by the players as a positive. Like Dual Overload was a great March set a couple of years ago. It's held up so well, it has held so much value, and I think Ghost from the Past could be there if they went that direction. Now, the last thing that I think is key here is going to be the Ghost Rares. Now, obviously, you could see a mix of new and old cards like they did before. I would argue that one of the best candidates for Ghost Rare would be Red Eye's Black Dragon. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be this art, although it is the best one in my opinion. I know this was a World's I think it was a World's Attendance prize where you got the Ghost Rare, that as well as Monster Reborn, if I remember correctly, in an envelope. I don't know the exact way that was allocated, but Red Eye's Black Dragon is a fan favorite. It's a beautiful card, and a Ghost Rare would follow up on the success of Dark Magician from last year, while, giving you some room to put some other cards in there that are not necessarily as iconic in terms of nostalgia, but are cards that players or collectors want to chase after, things like Crystal Wing and BLS, the Link. So that's one that I'd like to see. Blue Eyes White Dragon, of course, has a Ghost Rare of the tablet art back from Gold Series Haunted Mine. That set's almost 7 years old. It's not common anymore, and this is the iconic OG artwork of Blue Eyes. Another thing that would really move the needle for people, it is the Charizard of Yu-Gi-Oh! People love to go after it, and getting Blue Eyes in his original anime art as a Ghost Rare would be a huge selling point for the set, but not an excuse to not put other good things in there. I just want to preface that, because I do think that is important. Another one, like I mentioned, Dragoon is a Ghost Rare being definitely a possibility. It'd be cool if they double dipped him. There's not much of a precedent set yet for this, so we don't know what they would do, but hopefully they do take the, sort of knowledge that players want this and make it more accessible, and maybe they will. Maybe they'll put it as an Ultra in here and put it as a Starlight in Battle of Chaos. Like, that would be a really cool thing to see them do, to make Red Eyes Black Dragon be a Starlight there. So just a few different options there. Utopia Dragner is another one that people have talked about, and I don't think this would debut as a Ghost Rare, but the Utopia Structure Deck and the Agent Structure Deck could really be two things that are considered for possible inclusion in this set if they're not going to release them as structures, which I would love for them to do, but we've seen it with the Dragunity deck, we've seen it with the Pendulum deck from a few years back. Typically, they will like to hold those and use them to sell a future product. If the Utopia stuff doesn't end up being in Brothers of Legend, I could see it being here, and there is a lot of really good stuff from that structure deck that people would like to go after, and would honestly give them an excuse to print a Ghost Rare Utopia, which I don't particularly want because of how many prints it's gotten lately, but it is a marketable card that would get people's attention. Alternatively, Dark Magician Girl, this is just a custom photo that someone made, but you saw in the thumbnail the Dark Magician Girl from the actual OCG Ghost Rare, which is a wildly popular card that people love. Dark Magician Girl is a huge collector's card, and I was surprised that it was left out of the original Ghost from the past, but it almost feels like it has to be a lock to me, unless they don't want to reprint it because it was like one of the world's envelope promos and something you could get in an exclusive setting. But Dark Magician Girl has so many different arts, they could easily print a different artwork of it as a Ghost Rare, and people would still claim for that. So I think what it really comes down to is Ghost from the Past could redeem itself after the dumpster fire that it had for last year's set, and it's hard to say that Konami's going to care one way or another because of how well it sold, but as a player, as someone who likes to open things, as a content creator, these are my thoughts. These are what I'm looking for to see the set really be a success. So let me know what you guys think. Do you agree or disagree with my comments? What would you like to see as a Ghost Rare? What would you like to see as a reprint in general? Leave a comment down below, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.